Right now, if you are sitting at home, there's a very good chance you're surrounded by, well, incredibly smart devices. I mean, your phone, your smart speaker, uh, maybe even your thermostat.
Oh, absolutely. Everything is connected.
Right. And we talk about our digital lives existing in the cloud, like it's
Yeah.
this, magical weightless place where all our data just kind of floats around in the ether.
Yeah, that's definitely the marketing pitch we've all been sold.
Exactly. But if you stop and really think about the physics of it, living in the cloud is kind of like living in a house where your brain isn't actually inside your head. It's um, it's sitting in a giant refrigerated warehouse, like 3 states away.
That is a terrifying image, but it's completely accurate.
Right, because every single time you want to turn on the lights or just ask a simple question, your house has to send a letter to that warehouse, wait for the warehouse to think about it, and then wait for the instruction to come all the way back.
It is an incredibly fragile way to build a digital life, especially when you consider, just how much we rely on it now. We've basically traded the security of keeping our thoughts close for the raw power of having them processed far away.
Yeah, we've just sort of accepted that sending our personal data on this massive cross-country road trip every time we ask a question is, well, normal.
Completely normal, even though it really shouldn't be.
And that fragility is exactly what we are tackling today. So welcome to the deep dive. We've got a really great stack of research today focused on data sovereignty and personal security.
It's some really fascinating stuff.
It really is. It points to this massive seismic shift happening in technology right now. We're talking about the end of the cloud's absolute dominance.
Yeah, the tech industry is essentially scrambling to bring the brain back into your house, back to your own devices.
Exactly. It's this movement toward something called local AI, or sometimes it's called edge AI. And the research we're looking at makes this incredible case for why this is going to become the ultimate digital fortress for you.
It really is a total paradigm shift.
Okay, let's unpack this because I think we need to establish a baseline first. Can you just lay out what the difference is?
Sure. So, to understand why this shift is happening, we have to look at the traditional AI loop we've been stuck in. When you use the tools you're probably familiar with, the big chatbots, the image generators, that intelligence doesn't actually live on your phone.
Right, it's just an app interface.
Exactly. You ask a question, and that data leaves your device. It travels through your Wi-Fi, down fiber optic cables, potentially across an entire ocean to reach a massive corporate server. That server processes your request, generates the answer, and sends it all the way back.
But I mean, it feels completely instantaneous to us. Like I hit enter and the text just starts typing out on my screen before I even blink.
It does feel fast, yeah. But it is fundamentally bound by the laws of physics. Light can only travel down a fiber optic cable so quickly, and, internet traffic gets congested.
So there's always a physical speed limit.
Right. But more importantly, that loop requires your data to leave your possession. Local AI breaks that loop entirely. The whole idea is to take that artificial intelligence model, download it directly onto your hardware, your phone, your laptop, a little box on your desk, and just run it there. The data never leaves the room.
Which is such a wild concept to me because we've spent the last decade being told, the cloud is everything. All your processing should be in the cloud.
Yeah, the cloud was the ultimate solution for everything.
Right. But I want to dig into why this shift is actually necessary.
Yeah.
Because it can't just be about the novelty of having an AI that works in airplane mode when you're on a cross-country flight.
No, not at all. It's driven by absolute necessity. And the first major pressure point pushing us away from the cloud is pure survival. In the tech world, this basically comes down to latency.
Latency meaning the delay.
Exactly. Latency is the time it takes for data to make that round trip to the warehouse and back. If you were just asking a chatbot to write a grocery list, a 1-second delay doesn't matter at all. But think about the computers driving modern autonomous vehicles.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that makes total sense. A car driving on a highway is making life or death calculations constantly.
Exactly. I mean, imagine a car traveling at 70 miles per hour. A hazard suddenly appears on the road. For the car to detect that hazard, decide to brake and steer away, it does not have the luxury of sending sensor data to a server in Virginia, waiting for a remote computer to calculate the physics, and waiting for a brake now command to travel back.
Because in the milliseconds that round trip takes,
Yeah,
a catastrophic accident happens.
precisely. Local AI, or Edge AI, processes that data on the car's own internal hardware. It makes the decision locally in a fraction of a millisecond. It's about literal survival.
It's kind of like having this world-class chef cooking for you, but they live in another country.
Oh, I like that.
Right. So you have to literally pack up your raw ingredients in a cooler, mailed to them, wait for them to cook the meal, and then they mail the hot food back to you. Best case scenario, it's cold.
And worst case, the mail gets delayed and you starve.
Exactly. Local AI basically puts that chef directly in your kitchen. They open your fridge, chop the carrots on your counter, and hand you the plate instantly.
That is a perfect way to look at it because, I mean, what happens to your dinner if the postal service just shuts down for a day?
Right. If there's an internet outage or a cell tower goes down, my cloud-brained car wouldn't even know how to apply the brakes. It would be helpless.
And we are putting smart chips in literally everything now. The research points out that if your digital assistant is relying on the cloud, a localized internet outage means you can't even unlock your own front door.
Which is terrifying.
It is. Or think about a wearable device monitoring a heart condition. It suddenly can't analyze a dangerous arrhythmia because you walked into a cellular dead zone. Localizing the AI gives us internet independence. It makes these systems resilient enough to actually rely on in the real world.
Okay, so bringing the chef into our kitchen solves the physical speed problem, and it keeps things running when the internet breaks. That makes sense. But that physical safety logically leads to a massive question about digital safety.
It definitely does.
Because if we're putting these incredibly observant, intelligent AI systems directly into our most personal spaces, what happens to all the intimate data they are constantly gathering?
That is the second major driver of this shift. We're talking about the privacy imperative. Research uses a specific framework here called privacy by design.
Privacy by design.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
Well, think about how the cloud works right now. You are implicitly trusting whatever huge corporation owns the server. You are crossing your fingers that they don't get hacked. And you're hoping they don't suddenly change their terms of service to start mining your personal questions to sell targeted ads.
And let's be honest, crossing your fingers isn't a great security strategy. I mean, we've seen massive data breaches happen time and time again. Every month there's a new one.
We have. It's just a reality of centralized data. But when an AI runs locally on your device, the data never physically leaves your possession.
So the risk of a breach just drops.
It basically drops to theoretically zero. The risk of it being intercepted in transit or vacuumed up by a data broker vanishes because there is no transit.
The research had a couple of real-world examples for this that I found genuinely startling. They were talking about the rise of the smart toilet and the smart mirror.
Oh, yeah. They're perfect examples of where this technology is heading and exactly why the cloud cannot come with us into the future.
Just think about the reality of a smart toilet that analyzes your waste every morning to give you dietary feedback.
It sounds invasive, but it's medically incredible.
Medically incredible, sure, or a smart mirror that scans your skin, your eyes, and your posture to track your health metrics over time. The idea of those devices gathering that level of intimate, raw biometric data and just uploading it to some anonymous cloud server, that is terrifying.
It would be an absolute goldmine for health insurance companies, advertisers, and, malicious actors. You are talking about live streaming your most vulnerable biomedical state to a corporate warehouse.
I would never buy one if it used the cloud. Never.
No one in their right mind would. But when you power those devices with local AI, the script totally flips. The smart mirror has a small AI chip inside it. It looks at your reflection, analyzes your health, gives you your morning update, and then this is the key, because it doesn't need to send anything anywhere. The raw visual data is instantly deleted right there in the bathroom.
It just disappears.
Exactly. It never even touches a Wi-Fi router.
Okay, keeping the bathroom data in the bathroom is obviously the goal. But I have a major, logistical problem with this. I understand why we want the AI in our house, but I don't understand how it's physically possible.
What do you mean?
Well, real-time video analysis, natural language processing. These things require data centers the size of football fields. They have massive industrial water cooling systems just to keep the servers from melting into slag. How is a tiny chip inside a bathroom mirror or a phone in my pocket supposed to process that kind of intelligence without just bursting into flames?
It is a completely fair question, and honestly, just a few years ago, it was completely impossible. Your phone would have absolutely melted.
Right, so what changed?
This is where we have to look at the physical hardware revolution happening behind the scenes. We are entirely rethinking how a computer's brain is structured.
Okay, break that down for me. How do we shrink a football field-sized supercomputer into a pocket mirror?
It comes down to two very specific advancements. The first one is hardware. It's called the NPU, or Neural Processing Unit. For decades, our computers have run on CPU central processing units, and a CPU is incredible at handling general tasks.
Right, like running an operating system, opening a web browser, typing a document, that kind of thing.
Exactly, but AI doesn't work like a normal program. AI requires a massive amount of highly repetitive simultaneous math. If you try to run an advanced AI on a traditional CPU, it's going to struggle, overheat, and basically drain your battery in minutes.
So what makes the NPU so different? How does it fix that?
Think of it this way. A standard CPU is like a single genius mathematician. If you give that mathematician an incredibly complex calculus problem, they will solve it perfectly. But they can only really solve one problem at a time.
Okay, track it with you.
AI doesn't need complex calculus. It needs millions and millions of very simple addition and multiplication problems solved all at the exact same time. So instead of one genius mathematician, the NPU is like an army of 10,000 middle schoolers.
Okay, I absolutely love that analogy.
Right. They aren't geniuses, but they can all do basic additions simultaneously. The NPU is a completely new physical chip architecture built explicitly for this kind of parallel processing.
Oh, wow.
Because it is custom designed for the math that neural networks actually use, it does the work incredibly fast and it requires a fraction of the electricity. That's why your phone doesn't melt.
So we've literally built a completely different kind of physical brain that handles this specific way AI thinks. But even with an army of middle schoolers doing the math, these AI models are massive files.
They are very large, yes.
I mean, we hear about models with trillions of parameters. They take up terabytes of space. You still can't fit that onto a smartphone's memory drive, no matter how good the chip is.
That brings us to the second major breakthrough, which is on the software side. It's a process called quantization.
Quantization.
Yeah. When engineers train these massive AI models in the cloud, they use extreme mathematical precision. Imagine an AI where every single piece of information, every internal weight, is recorded out to like 16 decimal places.
That sounds incredibly precise. But also, like, it would take up a massive amount of digital storage. All those extra digits.
It does. It's huge. Quantization is the deliberate process of stripping away that precision. Instead of storing a number out to 16 decimal places, what if we just round it to 4 or 2? Or even a whole number.
Wait, if you just chop off all the detail, doesn't that fundamentally ruin the AI? Like, if you make the math less precise, wouldn't the AI just become stupid?
That's exactly what engineers assumed at first. But they discovered something fascinating about how artificial intelligence actually works. AI isn't about perfectly recalling exact numbers. It's about pattern recognition.
Okay, how so?
Think about a high-resolution photograph of a dog. It has millions of pixels, and every pixel has perfect, mathematically precise color data.
Right. Crystal clear.
If you take that photo and compress it, if you make it a bit pixelated and the exact color values get a little blurred or rounded off.
What happened? I mean, it looks a little fuzzier, but I can still instantly look at it and say, that's a dog.
Exactly, because your intelligence, your ability to recognize the dog, isn't based on the microscopic precision of a single pixel. It's based on the broader relationships, the structure, the overall pattern. Neural networks work the exact same way.
Wow.
The intelligence lives in the massive web of connections, not in the 16th decimal point of a single parameter.
That is wild. So you can basically compress the file, chop off the excess math, and the AI still knows how to think.
Yes. By quantizing the model, you can take a file that used to be 50 gigabytes and shrink it down to 4 gigabytes. Suddenly, it fits perfectly into the RAM of your smartphone. It might lose a tiny fraction of its ability to recall obscure trivia, but its core ability to reason, write, and understand context remains entirely intact.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because it's deeply ironic. We spent the last decade pouring billions of dollars into building these monolithic, godlike cloud brains, only to realize that the true cutting edge of technology is figuring out how to shrink them back down so they fit in our pockets.
But that shrinkage changes everything about who gets to control the technology.
And this is where the research takes us into some profound societal implications. Because if this powerful intelligence no longer requires a billion-dollar corporate data center, how does that shift the balance of power for you, the listener?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, when computing is entirely cloud-based, it naturally forces centralization. Only a handful of megacorporations have the capital to build those football field data centers.
And because they own the hardware, they have absolute control over the AI.
Exactly. They decide what it is allowed to say, what political topics it will refuse to discuss, and what kind of art it is allowed to generate.
Right, because you are essentially just a guest in their digital house.
Yeah.
If they want to change the locks or change the rules of what you can say in the house, they just push a software update and you have to deal with it. You have no say.
Precisely. Cloud AI is inherently vulnerable to censorship and monopolistic control. Local AI distributes that power directly back to the individual. When the AI model lives on your hardware, you own it.
It's yours.
Yes, no giant corporation can silently push an update to your phone overnight that suddenly restricts how your AI helps you brainstorm or, forces a specific ideology onto your system.
It's a digital shield.
Yeah.
You are taking back your digital sovereignty.
And it goes beyond just freedom of thought, too. There are massive environmental and economic factors here. Running queries in those giant corporate data centers consumes staggering amounts of electricity and water.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about the environmental side.
Yeah, by shifting the processing to local AI, we utilize the energy of the devices you were already powering. Distributing the computing load across millions of phones and laptops is vastly more sustainable. Plus, you aren't forced into paying $20 a month in endless subscription fees just to access an intelligence that your own phone could be running for free.
Reclaiming your sovereignty in your wallet. I love it. Okay, so we have a localized brain that is incredibly fast, perfectly private, runs on custom hardware, and frees us from corporate monopolies. The research takes all of these pieces and points them toward a very specific endgame. They call it the local digital twin.
Yes, the local digital twin. This is the culmination of all this tech.
So what does this all mean? I want to spend some time here because it sounds like science fiction. What exactly is a digital twin and how does it work in practice?
Well, right now, the AI models we use are trained on the public internet. They know a little bit about everything in the world, but they know absolutely nothing about you. The end game of local AI is an agent that lives on your personal devices, running 24/7, that is trained exclusively on your life.
My life, like my emails.
Your emails, your calendar, your health metrics from your smartwatch, your financial spreadsheets, your location history, your dietary habits, and even your writing style. Over time, it builds an incredibly dense, personalized model of who you are, how you think, and what you need.
Okay, that is equal parts amazing and completely terrifying. I mean, having an AI that knows me better than I know myself is one thing, but having all of that data sitting in one place, if that ever got leaked, it would ruin someone's life.
Which is exactly why this concept only works with local AI. Because this digital twin operates entirely on your local hardware behind your own firewall, the architecture guarantees your intimate data never goes to a corporate server.
Okay, but let's play this out in the real world. Say I want my digital twin to book me a vacation. My twin knows my schedule, it knows my bank account balance, and it knows I like aisle seats. But my twin doesn't know the live flight schedules from the airlines. It has to connect to the internet eventually, right? Doesn't that break the whole privacy shield?
This is where the architecture is so clever. Your digital twin acts as a highly secure intermediary, an airlock.
An airlock.
Yeah. When it needs outside information, it does not send your personal profile out to the cloud. Instead, it reaches out to the massive public cloud AIs on your behalf, but it strips away all identifying context.
How does that work?
It acts like a fiercely loyal executive assistant. You tell your twin you want a vacation. The twin knows you are stressed, knows your budget is $2,000, and knows you have next week off. It goes out to the public internet and simply asks the cloud for a raw data feed of flights to various warm destinations next week and hotel prices.
Just general data.
Right. It pulls that generic public data back into your local device. Then, behind your local firewall, your twin cross-references that public data with your private budget and schedule, picks the perfect trip, and presents it to you.
Oh, I see. So the cloud never knew who was asking, and the cloud never knew my budget. The cloud just saw an anonymous request for flight schedules.
Exactly. You get the vast knowledge of the global cloud, but your local AI applies the private personal context only after the data is brought back safely inside your digital fortress.
That is profoundly cool. It's like having a private vault where all the real thinking happens, and you just send a messenger out to the public library when you need a book.
And that is the future we are rapidly moving toward. Moving away from renting our intelligence from massive corporations and moving toward owning our intelligence completely.
To summarize what we've unpacked today, this shift to AI. Local AI isn't just a technical upgrade to make your apps open a little faster. It is a fundamental rewiring of our digital lives. By bringing the brain back into our own house, we solve the critical speed issues needed for technologies like autonomous driving. We create an absolute privacy shield for our most sensitive health and personal data, and we break the monopolistic control of massive data centers, putting the power and the privacy back into your pocket.
It's about giving you control over your own digital reflection.
It really is. But as we wrap up, there was one last piece of this puzzle that I want to leave you with. Based on where the research says this is all heading, we just established that your local digital twin is going to be this impenetrable fortress. It's going to hoard all your valuable personal data, and it's going to ruthlessly strip away your identity before it ever talks to a cloud AI.
Right, protecting you at all costs.
But think about the massive cloud models, the huge corporate bots that are currently dominating the market. Their entire existence, their entire ability to get smarter and learn about human behavior relies on sucking up massive amounts of our personal data.
It's their fuel.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
if everyone adopts local AI,
Yeah.
if we all build these digital fortresses and refuse to share the good stuff, how will those massive cloud AIs continue to evolve?
That's the multi-billion-dollar question.
Are they going to hit a wall?
Yeah.
Will they starve for new data? We might be looking at a future where these megacorporations can't just silently vacuum up our lives for free anymore. Instead, they might literally have to come to the gates of your digital fortress, negotiate directly with your local AI, and pay you for the privilege of learning from your data.
Talk about a power shift.
It completely flips the power dynamic of the last 20 years. It's something I highly recommend you spend some time thinking about. What is your own digital twin going to look like, and how fiercely will it protect your life? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.